Dandavat.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Dandavat Falguni. Dandavat Rasaraj. Saraswati.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Lord Narayan.
How are you feeling, Maharaj?
How am I feeling? Well, last Tuesday I got tested for COVID. It came out positive. Yesterday I got tested for COVID also. It came out positive. So I have COVID, but basically all I've had just a cough, and that's been about it. But I always have a cough. All year long I have a cough. But this is a different kind of cough. This one's, the cough I normally have is in my lungs, and this cough is in my throat more, so a little different. But that's, I don't feel bad. I was only bad for about a few days last week. So some things have happened since we talked last time, I think. One of the things was that some persons were confused about the position of Shanta Maharaj and say Shanta Maharaj, Shanta Maharaj is not the Acharya of our mission. He never was the Acharya. He never will be the Acharya of our mission. Acharya Maharaj didn't appoint him as his successor. Acharya Maharaj tried to train up Niriha Maharaj as his successor. Now Niriha Maharaj is still young, but Niriha Maharaj wants to take more responsibility in India, so that's good. But as for Shanta Maharaj, he can declare himself to be the Acharya, but as Srila Acharya Maharaj said, that he has the right to take disciples, but not in our mission. So what does that mean? It means he has the right to initiate, but he has not the right to initiate as a guru in our mission. He was never appointed as a guru in our mission. So that's the reality of Shanta Maharaj. Now, he's declaring that he's the self-revealed Acharya for the mission, but we feel that's not true. We have a mission. This mission was started really by Srila Govinda Maharaj. And most of the persons in this mission are disciples of Srila Govinda Maharaj. So he's the predominated and predominating guru. And then he chose as his successor Acharya Maharaj. So that's where it begins, and that's the reality of the situation. And Srila Govinda Maharaj also chose different persons throughout the world to initiate in different places, or to initiate. Actually, you could say in general, if somebody can initiate in one place, he can initiate in all places, because we don't have the zonal guru concept. That was something in ISKCON, and Guru Maharaj didn't like that. So, maybe someone will initiate principally in the place where they are preaching. Like Srila Ashram Maharaj was chosen to initiate in Mexico. And most of the people are initiated by Govinda Maharaj, well, that's true. Most of the people are initiated by Govinda Maharaj, and many persons have been initiated by Ashram Maharaj, and some persons have been initiated by Acharya Maharaj, and maybe somebody else. Maybe somebody else is given initiation. Like somebody who gives initiation to somebody in Russia, and the person goes from Russia to England, they don't give up their guru. They continue with it. They continue following that guru. So all that's understood. We are in the position of Govinda Maharaj, Acharya Maharaj, Govinda, those persons who would be considered Guru Varga of Acharya Maharaj, his god brothers. They are supposed to be respected. Now, I'll tell you from my experience in Sokel, I have a few disciples, 2, 3, I think, disciples of mine in Sokel. Acharya Maharaj, he has like 2, 3 disciples here in Sokel. And everybody else, hundreds of persons, they are initiated by Govinda Maharaj. So the majority of the persons are all disciples of Govinda Maharaj. And principally, if you look here about who's in the, who we can see in the different, the gallery view, most of the persons we see here are disciples of Govinda Maharaj. That's the reality. And then, so what do I do in Sokel? I say first, Jai Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj, then Jai Om Vishnupad to Srila Govinda Maharaj, and to Srila Guru Maharaj, and Srila Bhagavan Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and then, Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Bhakti Vinod Thakur, Jagannath Das Babaji. But I start saying Jai Om Vishnupad, I say to Srila Bhakti Nirmalacharya Maharaj, I have his picture on the altar. So why would I say Jai Om Vishnupad to everyone on the altar except him? It seems rather strange, in my opinion. But some people may do that. Srila Guru Maharaj, he commented that regarding the Guru, he said, for instance, I may worship Acharya Maharaj in the temple because he was chosen as successor in the Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat by Srila Govinda Maharaj. But Govinda Maharaj said, being a god brother, behind closed door, you may even give a slap to your god brother. Now, obviously, that's behind closed doors. Obviously, if I gave a slap to Acharya Maharaj, not behind closed doors, about 15 people would jump on top of me, and rightly so. But behind closed doors, we may have an argument, we may have a discussion, we may shout at each other. It hasn't happened, but it could, because we're god brothers. You cannot expect the same behavior from a god brother that you expect from a disciple. And that's just the reality of the situation. So actually, if you look, North America, South America, I believe in North America, South America, North America will include Mexico, we don't have any big problems. I don't see any big problems. Maybe some people will argue this point or that point, but I don't see any big problems in North America, South America. Now, when you go to Europe, I see there are more problems in Europe because maybe people see things in a different way. But I'm not the supreme controller. I cannot control everyone. You cannot expect that the god brother of the guru will behave like a disciple. That will not happen. But for instance, in Navadip, some of the persons there don't even really respect Govinda Maharaj. I've heard them. Some of them don't even say Jai Om to Srila Govinda Maharaj. And what do I think of that? I think that if I could talk to them in private, maybe I would slam my fist into their face, because I'm a little passionate sometimes. In private. Or maybe in public with those people. I consider they're real snakes. But anyway, that's going on in Navadip. For instance, Bhagwad, what's his name? Bhagwat Maharaj, is that his name?
Yeah.
Oh, I can't stand that man. He's the worst person I've ever met. He's always disrespectful to Govinda Maharaj. Do I have to tolerate him? No, because I don't ever go to Navadip. Since they since they re, since they revolted against Govinda Maharaj and also incidentally beat up Sanatani that when she was there, I don't really have anything to do with them. But anyway, I'm just mentioning these things. It came up in a conversation with Saraswati, so I'm carrying on the conversation. That's why I was a little bit late here, because I took a shower after. Anyway. Some persons were annoyed because they said Karuna's son was initiated by Shantamars. Well, okay. I talked to Nitai. He made a mistake. What can I say? And he does. He said he apologized for making that mistake. But if somebody wants to take initiation from Shantamars, they can do so, but not as part of our mission. So I think that kind of wraps it up. Like I said, do I think everybody does properly and offers obeisances to Acharya Maharaj? No, I don't think they do properly. But if you go to Russia, you won't find you practically find no disciples there of Acharya Maharaj. If you go to other places, you won't find so many disciples of Acharya Maharaj, maybe in Thailand. So, like they say, different slokas for different folks, right? Different criteria for different persons. And if somebody says, why is that? Because I'd say, they're God brothers. They see things differently, But really, you can say that it's correct or not correct. I would say it's not exactly the way I would do things, but I don't think that doesn't mean I'm going to get really upset about it, because I'm a follower of principally who has a very much influence on my life is Srila Govinda Maharaj. I was with him for 25 years or something like that. So that is what I follow. I follow Govinda Maharaj. And if somebody excuse me, if somebody wants to find out more about the situation, where is that site, Primary Trust Board? By the way, I think I said we appointed, now there's 5 people on the Primary Trust Board. We appointed last week Niriha Maharaj. So there's Niriha Maharaj, Ashram Maharaj, myself, Mangal Maharaj, and Avadut Maharaj still. He doesn't go to meetings, but he's a member of the Primary Trust Board. Goswami Maharaj and Madhusuda Maharaj resigned from the Primary Trust Board. What are we trying to do with the Primary Trust Board? It's principally a management. Management is for managing. And I think, according to Srila Govinda Maharaj's will, if you read it, it's principally for managing India. So somebody can say, what can you do in India? You're not born in India. You don't live in India. Well, I mean, does the Pope live in Mexico? Does the Pope live in Venezuela? Does the Pope live in Brazil? No, he doesn't live there. And maybe he doesn't even have legal position to change things there. But every Catholic in the world will follow the Pope. So it is not a question of legality. You can say, we're foreigners, some of us, myself, Ashram Maharaj, Niriha Maharaj, we're not, oh no, Niriha Maharaj is actually not a foreigner to India. He's from India. He and Mangal Maharaj are from India. But Govinda Maharaj chose the primary trust board, and it's mentioned in his will, and he said he wants the primary trust board to have decisions over management. Does that mean people in India are going to follow that? I don't know. Maybe some people will follow. But that's what Govinda Maharaj wanted. So we're trying to establish that. Now, do we have a link? Do I have a link where that primary trust board is? Do you? I can look it up. And then you can see every week we have a meeting and we put what happened at the meeting. You can see it on. You can see it You can see what we're deciding. Okay. There it is. Primary. Primary trust of Gurudev. I believe this is the link. I'll put it in. I'll put it in here in chat. Now you can click on that. Okay. So that link works. If you click on it, it'll take you to that page, and if you want, you can bookmark that link, because that's what Govinda Maharaj set up as the management for India. And bookmark. Okay, if you click on that, you can see it. And like I said, that's what Govinda Maharaj created for management. For talking about spiritual matters among ourselves, he created the Acharya board. But the Acharya board is not supposed to be a management board. It's supposed to be discussing spiritual considerations. So anyway, all these things to me are a little boring, but that's since I think some of these questions, some questions fall into these realms. And you know, a nice thing, if you go on that link, you can read what is the last will, what is the will of Srila Govinda Maharaj. Then he talks about all things. He talks about Acharya Maharaj. He talks about everything in his will. So I think some people have not even read the will in there, maybe up till now. And they should read what is Govinda Maharaj's will. It's not so long. What is it? 5, 6, 7 pages, but it's easy to read. You know.
Is the will in that within that document that you
Yes.
just?
Yes. It's within there. There's the will is one of the first things mentioned, because the will talks about the primary trust board. So first we mention the primary trust board, then we talk about what the primary trust board is doing, which is not so much, but we are trying to because people don't even know about the primary trust board. But as I said, the members of the primary trust board are Ashram Maharaj, myself, Mangal Maharaj, Avadut Maharaj, and Niriha Maharaj. They're the members of the primary trust board. So we can go on to other things. I mean, it's kind of like I said. This is what was created by Govinda Maharaj, and for me, that's important. Somebody says, well, we don't even know what the primary trust board is. Well, maybe nobody knows what it is, but it's what was mentioned in his will by Srila Govinda Maharaj. So it must have some importance if Govinda Maharaj created it.
Maharaj, one question. Where is Mangal Maharaj?
Huh?
Where is Mangal Maharaj?
He's in Bengal.
In Kolkata, no.
I think he lives in Kolkata, but not in the temple.
I didn't know that he was on the board. He's such amazing. From the first time I saw him, he was so amazing person.
Well, he was mentioned by Srila Govinda Maharaj in the will. He was mentioned, Mangal Maharaj was described there as a member of the primary trust board. And he, of course, Govinda Maharaj mentioned Acharya Maharaj as the president of the primary trust board. But, of course, 2 persons have resigned and Acharya Maharaj is no longer present. So that means 3 of the original 7 are present. And Srila Govinda Maharaj said, no less than 3, no more than 7. There should be no less than 3 persons and no more than 7. So right now we have 5. That's more than 3, less than 7, so I guess it's kind of okay. Devashis, any comment?
Yes, Maharaj.
Any comment about what I said? Because, not everybody, I told how I see things. I didn't say how everyone else sees things. As Ramai would say when he answers the phone, Murka Pujari. He would answer as Murka Pujari. Means a stupid Pujari. So, I'm Janardan Maharaj. I'm just Janardan Maharaj. I'm nobody else. So, what I say isn't the last commandment or anything like that. I'm just giving you what I do where I'm living in Soquel, what I do in Mexico, also in Guadalajara, where I have a temple. I've always had a temple in Guadalajara. Of course, Ashram Maharaj is in charge of all Mexico. So when I'm there, I always, always have some prayers and offerings to it. Ashram Maharaj. He's my very dear God brother. I feel very close to him, to Ashram Maharaj. Do I say Jayom Vishnupad to him? When he visits, or when I go to Mexico, when I'm in Mexico, then I will say that to him. When he visits, I will say that to him. Otherwise, I start out with Acharya Maharaj, and then Govinda Maharaj, and then Guru Maharaj, etc. And if somebody does something different, somebody visits London, they do something different. Somebody's living in London, they do something different. All I can say is what reminds me of when one devotee he had a wife, and then that wife separated from him, and then she was living with another person. And then that other person complained to the original husband that now she's with somebody else. And he was very upset like that. So imagine the first person, his wife now living with somebody else, and that somebody else is complaining that that lady is with somebody else. And they said to the first husband, why is it, what's going on here? And then the first person says, well, maybe we should start a syndicate. Well, maybe we should start a syndicate. It's like, maybe we should start a union or a syndicate of people that the wife was cheating on. So if somebody sees things in London that they don't like because this person does this and this person does this and this person does that, then I say, oh, maybe you should start a syndicate. Maybe you should start a syndicate and draft some resolution.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Maharaj,
Yeah.
but it's not only about glorifying someone. It's about service, isn't it? It's about serving him. And I remember Gurudev, every time somebody say dandavat, dandavat, it's not only about giving dandavats. The relationship is with service, and some people, yes, jai, jai, it's all about jai, but where is the service connection?
Of course. Here, the name we have is Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Seva Ashram. That's the name in Sokel. In England, I think it's the Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat. So, but the real thing, as you said, Saraswati, is about seva. We are supposed to join with each other to do seva. Who says this and who does that? I mean, my relationship with the center is through service. My relationship with Govinda Maharaj is through service. And Acharya Maharaj, I would try to do service there also when, in the Sringapali, when he asked me that he needed some money to buy land to build a prasadam hall, and then I talked here with Hashapriya, and then I said, okay, Acharya Maharaj, we're sending the money to you. Then he said, I can consider it a loan. I can pay it back. I said, please, Maharaj, we're not asking you to pay it back. We just give you the money. And you use the money for buying the prasadam hall. And we sent him the money. And that was a month or two before he passed away. But, he asked us for help. We wanted to help him because we consider he's in the center position of, we can say, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat there in India, where the whole mission is coming, everything's emanating from India, from Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat, from Guru Maharaj, from Govinda Maharaj, from Acharya Maharaj. We want to help there because our relationship is with the center. But we also living in London, I'm living in Sokel, then we want persons to help here also to do seva. Without persons doing seva, how can we continue the ashram? So we're expecting that. And up till now, I think that is going on. Most people understand. Most people understand, and they help. Now, everything is a little different because, people have lockdowns and they have this and they have that. So, still, we need service to go on. Not everyone can always come because they don't want to be in a big group of persons. In the ashram right now, we have maybe 2 people with COVID. I'm one of them. And I've had it for 8 days. I don't think I can spread it to other people now. Although I did test positive yesterday. So, I think they say, so I'll wait 10 days. I'll wait the 10 days, which will be probably Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Probably tomorrow is 10 days or something like that. I have this new milder, more human form of COVID now. The Omicron, the Omicron COVID has Om in it, so it must be very divine. Huh? Any other questions? Devashis, how are you doing?
I'm all right, Maharaj. Thank you. Yes, it's very nice to hear from you, and we're always very glad of your support and your counsel, and your friendship with us here in London. It's very important to us.
Yes. Did you have COVID?
Yes, Maharaj, I did. Yeah, and pretty much everyone here has had it, I think, and yeah, but like yourself, it was very mild, actually very mild, and but we're all free of that now, thankfully.
Yeah. Gaurachandra, did you have it?
I don't think so, Maharaj. I'm hopeful.
Yeah. Did you have it, Rasaraj?
Not me, my wife, but my 2 children got sick.
Okay. So does anyone have a question? I'm speaking pretty randomly. Suvasini, I'm happy to see you.
And what's Maharaj, very happy to see you too. Yeah.
So everyone's basically well now, right? Oh, there's Lakshmi Kanti. So,
Dhanyavad, Maharaj.
So I've been kind of upstairs, haven't gone down to the temple in the last 8 or 9 days, I guess. In a day or two, I'll go down. Ananta Govinda, how are you?
Dhanyavad, Maharaj, happy to see you.
I'm happy to see everyone. Happy to see you too, also, Ananta Govinda. So Saraswati spoke of service. And I would like to be doing service. I would like to be in the temple. I would like to travel. I would like to go to Mexico. I would like to go to London. I went once to Ecuador where Bhakti Bandava Puri Maharaj was. and I have high blood pressure. So Ecuador is very high. And I felt like my brain was in a frying pan when I went there. I just like they'd thrown up my brain in a frying pan with some ghee, and it was being fried. When I was leaving, Puri Maharaj said, when will you come again? I kind of said, never. For me, it was. Then I went to Colombia, and it was also very high altitude. For me, it was a little difficult. I go to Mexico. Guadalajara is 1,600 meters above sea level. It doesn't bother me at all. I go to Morelia. It's about little more, maybe 1,700, 1,800 meters. And it doesn't bother me. Mexico City, 2,200 meters. Bothers me a little bit. But all of Mexico is what they call altiplano, except for coastal cities. That's why Govinda Maharaj liked to go to Veracruz so much, because it's at sea level. He liked that. So I would like to be able to travel at least to see all of you, to go to Mexico. By the way, I went to Mexico about 1.5 months ago. It was very nice there. I went to Veracruz, Guadalajara. Super nice. Maybe, I'm just saying for me, maybe Mexico's my favorite place. Mexico and India, my favorite places. I like Mexico very much. I lived there about 15 years. It's so nice. Nice place. The people are very nice. It's just nice to be.
Where in Mexico, Maharaj?
What?
Where in Mexico?
Everywhere I like.
No, I mean, where do you live for 15 years?
I lived for about 9 years in Mexico City. I lived for a couple years in Hidalgo, near Tulancingo, in a place called Acochitlan, Hidalgo. And then I also lived in Guadalajara for maybe 5-6 years, something. And, Guadalajara, Mexico City, I like the people very much, but there's a lot of smog there. So Govinda Maharaj said, we're from Calcutta, we don't care about that. So it's true. He's from Calcutta, he doesn't care about smog, because there's a lot of smog in Calcutta anyway. So he said, we're from Calcutta, we don't care about that. So okay, I think I like Guadalajara very much. It's very nice. But I like going to Veracruz. In Veracruz, Veracruz is a port. It's on the ocean. But it's not like places like Acapulco or Puerto Vallarta or Cancun. It's not like a tourist place. Veracruz is not like a tourist place. So you can go there and be near the ocean, be very nice. It's more a port where they bring goods from other countries. That's the main thing about Veracruz. But it's so nice to be on sea level, to be by the ocean. And these other places like Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, what's the one in Guerrero, Acapulco. I mean, I don't really want to go to those places so much. Mostly they're for tourists. I don't go to Mexico to go to tourist places. But Govinda Maharaj told me that Guadalajara is my home. And he said the deities were very happy there. So I like being in Guadalajara. It's very nice. And I went this time to Veracruz. It was very nice, except the only thing about Veracruz this time is it's very high humidity. It's super high humidity. It's like almost like was like being, you know, with so much humidity that you're sweating a lot of the time. But it's very beautiful. And I don't know. I like the people in Mexico very much. They're always, the devotees are very, very nice, and you can always talk friendly with everybody. I mean, you know, anywhere you go, people are nice. That's my experience. Somebody can say, I went there and it's not my experience. So, okay, not your experience, but I don't really care. Like my sister went to India and she visited mostly cities like Kolkata. She visited Delhi and I don't know. And she said, well, it's so dirty there. And I said to her, well, you know something, you didn't have to go all the way to India to find a dirty place. I can come here and I'll show you lots of dirty places. You don't have to go all the way to India to find dirty places. Come visit me and I'll take you to all the dirty places around here. Yeah, I told her you didn't have to fly so far. But, I mean, sure. If you're in Kolkata, there's so many people and it's hard, a lot of contamination. If you're in Mexico City, so many people, a lot of contamination. If you're in Sao Paulo, Brazil, the same thing. If you go to Hong Kong, it's the same thing. If you go to Los Angeles, even you'll get a little bit of it there. So who cares? That's not the criteria for judging a place. What do I like about India? Because I also like the people in India very much. Not everybody, but especially the devotees. And in Bengal, sometimes people don't like Bengal, but when you're in Bengal, you can have a kirtan. You can join with people and have a kirtan. If you start a kirtan, other people will come to join in. It's kind of like in their Gaudiya Vaishnavism, they're not Gaudiya Vaishnavas all in Bengal. They like to eat fish and things like that. But I find so many of the people there have a place in their heart where Mahaprabhu and there, Puri also. But I traveled all over India, and there are devotees everywhere, and they will invite you into their house, and so nice. Did you have that experience, Devashish?
Yes, Maharaj. Everywhere in India, yeah.
Everywhere I went in India, I found devotees. When we traveled to, before Gaur Purnima, the devotees travel and they collect rice, and we collected potatoes, and we went to places. And when we traveled, we took our own cook with us, a devotee from the Mat. He went with us to cook. And even there were people from other Gaudiya Mat centers there, and everywhere we went. But we never let them, we never had them cook for us. We never so much went to their places where they're cooking. But when we got to for instance, we got to one place called Memory in Bengal where they grow many potatoes. And when we got to Memory, there are many disciples of Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Govinda Maharaj, men and women. And then they cooked. They could cook, and then we ate what they cooked. But when we were traveling, we didn't eat what other Gaudiya Math places came. They could have offered us to go there and eat, but we had our own cook. But when we got to Memory, where many devotees of Guru Maharaj and Govinda Maharaj, then they cooked.
Nice.
Ladies and everything. But that's what I like about India. When I travel everywhere, I don't just see the cities. We go and visit people's houses, and we visit them, and they join with the kirtan and everything like that. So now you guys ask some questions. Still have a sore throat from this COVID, but I can still speak a little more. You have any questions? Gaurachandra.
Maharaj, Krishna Kishore here.
Okay, Krishna Kishore. Dandavat.
Dandavats. I have a little question. So recently I've been reading, and I came across various description of who Murari Gupta is in alternative forms. And one was like Hanuman, which is often the one that's explained. Then there's somewhere in the Chaitanya Bhagavat where it says he's an expansion of Rudra. And another one, Sadhu Maharaj found, said Garuda. So I'm just wondering, like, how is it that we understand that and who he is?
Well, for us, the one which we really accept the most of saying, like, you'll find different persons described in Gaur Ganadesh Deepika as being this person and that person. But for us, the answer is really the Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. that is the answer. Like, for instance, in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Mahaprabhu is described different ways, but he's described often as Vishnu Narayan. But in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it's described that he's Krishna, internally Krishna, and he's covered with the Bhava and Kanti of Srimati Radharani. So we accept that. It'll describe Advaita Acharya in the Chaitanya Bhagavat as being Shiva. And in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says he's Mahavishnu. Now, if you look, you could say, well, why they're so different? But Guru Maharaj explained it, that Mahavishnu glances at the material creation, and his glance comes out as a person, as Rudra or as Shiva, because Vishnu never touches the material. He doesn't touch Maya. He's not involved with Maya. But he glances, and his glance injects the jivas and everything into the material nature. But the glance of Mahavishnu is Shiva. So there's some relationship there. So there's different descriptions in the Chaitanya Bhagavat, the Chaitanya Charitamrita, the Gaur Ganadesh Deepika. But Guru Maharaj said, when the Supreme Lord, when the Supreme Lord, or as Prabhupada used to say, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that will be Krishna. It'll also be Mahaprabhu. We also see Mahaprabhu in that way. Then when the Lord is there, you may have avatar, but we can say the Lord is avatari. He's the source of all the avatars. He's the source of all the incarnations. So if a particular devotee sees it in a different way, that's all right. And as far as Murari Gupta in the Chaitanya Charitamrita mentions that he's the servant of, he sees Ramachandra as his Lord. And I believe it says he's an incarnation of Hanuman. Doesn't it say like that? I believe that's what it is.
yeah, there's a whole pastime where Mahaprabhu asks him to give up the worship of Ramachandra, and he gets so upset that he's willing to take his own life, I believe. And then Mahaprabhu is happy with his devotion and tells him, no, it's okay.
Yeah, it was like a test. So I will, as far as I'm concerned, I read the Chaitanya Bhagavat. I'm reading it. I'm now in, I think, Antya-kanda 5. And there's 10 chapters in Antya-kanda. So when my throat becomes a little stronger, I'll read that, and I'll finish the Chaitanya Bhagavat, and all the readings will be there, and they'll be online, and then I'm going to start again on the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And maybe I've read the Chaitanya Charitamrita over and over many times, and every time I read it, there's something I find, something I see that I didn't understand before. Always something new coming in from Chaitanya Charitamrita. As far as Chaitanya Bhagavat, many things, it is all new to me. Many things are new to me. I've read it. I read it before, but not with all the commentaries. Actually, there are 2 Chaitanya Bhagavats. One has the commentaries of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and it has the Bengali verses, the shlokas. And I've read that, and now I'm reading the one that's by Sarvabhavana Das. And actually I like that more. I like that very much.
Yeah, I tried to read the one with the commentaries of Saraswati Thakur, but it was not exactly light bedtime material.
Well, nothing is like bedtime material. That's true. I mean, yes, it's nice to read the commentaries of Saraswati Thakur. Sometimes he talks about things that are not really within our experience so much, because he talks about, what is that? If you go near Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj's Samadhi Mandir, there's some place that they call Prati Mayapur or something like that. You know that?
Prachin Mayapur.
Prachin Mayapur. And they say that the real Mayapur is there. And that's not what Srila Saraswati Thakur says. So that's an issue that he talks about, why Prachin Mayapur is bogus understanding. He'll talk about that. Now we have some familiarity with that, but most people, if they read the commentary, they don't know what Prachin Mayapur is. They don't know what Saraswati Thakur is talking about in that sense when he talks about, so he talks about some things that are maybe outside the experience of the reader, because we don't live in Bengal, and there are some issues he talks about. Just like in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's actually a lot of description about Advaitacharya's sons, that he had 6 sons, and 3 of them headed by Achyutananda. They're the real sons. And the other 3 have a completely wrong conception of Mahaprabhu. You know about that, right? You've read about that.
Yeah.
Well, so that's established there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Anyway, I like reading Chaitanya Bhagavat, Chaitanya Charitamrita, and like this. in the Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat, originally, from what I understand, in the morning they read Chaitanya Bhagwat. In the evening they read Chaitanya Charitamrita. And about 4 o'clock they read Srimad Bhagavatam. Right?
Yeah.
So that's what they read in the Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat when I was going there. Chaitanya Bhagwat in the morning, Chaitanya Charitamrita in the evening, and about 4 o'clock, Srimad Bhagavatam. But that's very nice. All very important to read. But then also we have Govinda Maharaj liked that every day we would have some maybe class on Bhagavad Gita. Do you have Gita class there in London?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not every day, but we have.
That was one of the nice things about Vaishnava Maharaj, Shrutashrava. He called himself a truck driver, but he was really very well read in Bhagavad Gita. Some chapters he could say by memory. And I also have a recording of Govinda Maharaj saying every chapter. He's saying the whole Bhagavad Gita. He's saying the Sanskrit of the whole Bhagavad Gita. It's very nice.
Maharaj, I have a question.
Yeah.
I was wondering if maybe it would be possible that you can start with the Bhagavad Gita, because it will be nice to have it recorded, and also because we have quite many new people that are always asking for Gita classes, and that would be maybe if that is possible.
Well, you have the hidden treasure of the sweet absolute, and you have older devotees there. Why don't you just read it?
But it's not the same. It will be good to have it with you.
Right now, I'm doing, I don't know, not so many, maybe 5, 6 Zoom classes a week, but it's driving me crazy. Because I have other things to do in the temple. I'm not reading, in the morning, I'm not reading Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita was more the evening. But I'm reading Chaitanya Bhagwat now. When I finish that, I'll start Chaitanya Charitamrita. And with the Chinese devotees on Friday, we have a Zoom meeting, and we are reading the whole Bhagavad Gita. And now we're finishing the last shloka of the Bhagavad Gita. Then we're reading in Chinese. And then of course I don't read Chinese, but I ask them to explain what they're reading and everything. Then tomorrow, Friday, on Friday, then we'll start with the search for Sri Krishna, reality, the beautiful. Why starting with that? Because they have it translated into Chinese. So, but we're reading in Chinese now, Bhagavad Gita as it is, because they don't have hidden treasure translated into Chinese. But we're finishing that, and then we'll do search for Sri Krishna in Chinese. I helped translate Prapana Jivanamrita into Spanish, and we published that very beautiful book. Maybe you can get some of the devotees who speak Spanish, read the Prapana Jivanamrita. You may understand some of it, you may not understand all of it, you may understand all of it, I don't know. But it's a really nice book. It's super nice. And it's in Spanish. So it's a good book to read in Spanish. Then Acharya Maharaj has guidance in Spanish. That's also very nice. You can read that in Spanish. Is London open up again? Is it in lockdown or is it open?
No, it's not lockdown, but they're changing everything all the time. But they say they probably relax the rules more later this week, because the World Health Organization are now saying that it's in the UK, at least, it's kind of coming to an end. Let's see.
Maharaj, one question. How is the approach? I know that you have mentioned Yudamanyu doing a lot of the legwork, but it's interesting to me because Chinese culture is very like opposite to something like the Krishna idea. So I would like to know how you present to someone who is new with that kind of mindset. So if I get the opportunity at some point to try to do it.
Well, one of the main way of doing it is to develop some relationship between the devotees, which they have. They have some trust in each other, and also getting them to chant Hare Krishna. They also chant Hare Krishna. They have artis, or they'll join in kirtans. So what you're saying is true. Like, they cannot pronounce the names even of our acharyas. They cannot pronounce the names. All of them have, it's funny, so many of them, they have English names because nobody can pronounce their Chinese names. Like somebody is called Jazz, or somebody is, they have all kinds of different names. Sometimes girls even have boys' names or stuff because nobody can pronounce their real names. But we have gotten them to, Yudamanyu, he lived there. He lived with them 12 months of the year almost. And they trusted Yudamanyu, they liked him, and then they became devotees. And so he taught them. And how can you teach them? Well, now we don't even have so many of them joining in our meetings. Maybe sometimes 3, sometimes 2, sometimes 4, sometimes 7, sometimes 8. But maybe 8 or 9 is about the most we will get to join with us on a Zoom meeting. So what I do is I have them read some verses in Bhagavad Gita. I say first the Sanskrit, then they say the translation in Chinese, and then they read the commentary of Prabhupada in Chinese. Then I ask them to tell in their own words what they read. And then one of the devotees translates what they say that they read, and then I comment about things which I think, okay, this is really good, or if there's some mistake, I'll say, or sometimes I'll ask them questions. What does this mean? Or what is this? What's the answer to this? You read that. Then sometimes they'll answer correct, sometimes they won't answer correct, but that's how we're going along. You know, just like you would do in English, pretty much, right? Say you were reading, there's a good idea. Have a class every night, say, or something on Prapana Jivanamrita. And you can read it in English and Spanish. Well, the only problem with that is the English is hard to understand. Because sometimes it's hard to understand Sagar Maharaj. Anyway, Gaurchandra, if you want maybe some Friday night, well, maybe it's not a good time for you. We start at, when do we start? We start at Friday night at, I think about 8 o'clock or something at night, our time, or maybe 7 or 7:30, but it will be like, it will be 3 o'clock in the morning for you. Maybe it's too early to attend. I would say
Just a
otherwise,
little bit early.
otherwise you could join with us.
No, I would love to do that, and I find it very interesting because somehow, I mean, Chinese culture is very interesting to me somehow, and I like the idea of it's 1.3 billion chances of someone chanting Hare Krishna. That is a lot of people chanting Hare Krishna.
That's very nice. The only reason I don't always like, for instance, going there is I don't want to be put in jail for 7 years. But aside from that, it's all very nice.
Other than that, it's fine.
Okay, so excuse me for having this little short. I think we'll end about now because I still have a sore throat from this.
Yes, Maharaj, take care of your health.
Karuna, are you there? Oh, Karuna. That says Karuna Sundari. No Karuna. Okay. Any more questions? Bhagavan, ¿cómo estás?
Dhanyavad, Maharaj. Dhanyavad. I'm happy to see you, Maharaj. I'm very happy to hear from you, and I'm happy that you're well now. I'm okay. By your grace and the grace of the devotees, I'm fine, Maharaj. By the grace of our gurus, okay.
Okay.
I'm happy to see you again.
Happy to see you also. My Dandavats. Dandavats to everyone. Dandavats to Krishna Mohini. Dandavat.
Dandavad Maharaj.
Dandava Maharaj, I hope you get better very soon.
Dhanyavad, Maharaj.
Dandavad Maharaj. Have a quick recovery.
Dandavad.
Dhanyavad Maharaj.
Dandavat Pranam Maharaj.
Dandavat Pandit.
Dhanyavad.
Dandavat
Dhanyavad
Sundari and Subhadra. Dandavat. Pandit,
Dhanyavad Maharaj.
you look like it's cold outside.
It's very cold outside.
Is it?
Yeah.
How cold is it there?
Well, not quite freezing, but it's really cold.
Really?
Lovely to see you, Maharaj, and hear from you.
Lakshmi Kanti, do you think it's cold there? ¿Crees que hace frío ahí en Inglaterra?
Little bit now.
Yeah, a little bit.
She refused to go for a walk yesterday because it was too cold. So yeah, now she's acting tough. But yesterday she didn't want to move.
How about Sham Sundari? ¿Hace frío en Madrid?
Mucho, sí. It's
Yeah.
very, very cold over here too.
I was once in Madrid, and I thought it was so cold that I only had a few dollars left. I had almost no money, and I spent them on buying some rubber galoshes with lining in them, so my feet would be warm and dry, and that was more important to me than eating. because when I joined with the devotees, I had some boots, and they were made out of leather. So I was a little fanatic, and I threw them in the canal in Amsterdam. And then I was just, the rest of the time, I was just wearing wet tennis shoes. And I was miserable. So when I was in Madrid, it was cold. And the only thing I thought of doing was buying some rubber galoshes with lining in them. Then I put them on, my feet were dry. Then I was happy. I didn't care about being hungry. I had a few, pennies left or something, so I bought there were some chestnuts cooked on a fire. You probably have that in London, right? They cook sometimes chestnuts on the street,
Yeah.
and you can buy a little bag of hot chestnuts.
Yeah.
That was all the money I had. I only had enough money to buy those chestnuts. But they were also hot, so it was nice. And when I was in London a couple of years ago, I was so cold. And at that time, the pujari of East London, who was it, Toshan Krishna?
Yes.
He gave me a nice warm coat. The company was Peacock. Have you heard of that company?
Yeah.
It's a nice coat, very, very nice and warm. So I'm seeing all of you are dressed warm. Here, if I go outside, it's sunny, a little bit cold, maybe, what would I say? Maybe, how many degrees would I say? Centigrade. Maybe outside about, most of the time, around 10 degrees centigrade, maybe 8 degrees centigrade. Would you consider that cold?
Not so cold, but definitely on the cool side.
Oh, Dhanyavad.
How are you, Maharaj? How are you feeling?
Okay.
Nice to see you.
It's been 8 or 9 days since I had COVID. Yesterday they tested me and I was still positive. But I feel like it's going away.
Good.
Okay, my dandavats to everyone. Hope you're all
Maharaj,
well.
Dandavad.
Dandavats Maharaj. Dandavats devotees.
Everyone.
Jai Shri Bhakti Pavan Janardan Maharaj ki jai.
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 Dandavat, we see all of you.
Thank you, Maharaj.
And I have on Saturday a Zoom in Spanish and Sunday in a Zoom in English. And I will as I said, I put on the chat the link for the Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Primary Trust Board. And last Sunday we put on the trust board also Niriha Maharaj. So we have now, Niriha Maharaj, Ashram Maharaj, Mangal Maharaj, myself, and Avadut Maharaj. Those are the members of the primary trust board. Goswami Maharaj resigned, and also Madhusudan Maharaj resigned. So, and we'll see. Govinda Maharaj said no less than 3, no more than 7. So we are 5 now. So we'll see. Anyway. And Neri Hamarj is interested in taking some role in India with the management, helping, and he is supported by the devotees there. So before he was just staying in Vrindavan, but now I believe he's in Bengal. And if somebody says, what is the position of Shanta Maharaj? I would say, he has no position. He's not the Acharya of our mission. He's not the Acharya of our mission. We're followers of Govinda Maharaj and also Acharya Maharaj and Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada, but we're not followers of Shanta Maharaj. So if he wants to give initiation and somebody wants to take initiation from him, they can do so, but not within our mission. I mean, anybody can take initiation from him if they want, but he's not a Acharya Maharaj said, many people, they can give initiation. I have no objection, but they will not do it inside the Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat. So, anyway, my experience with him in the past was not so bad. Many times I met him. He came to America. I met him in Nishingapali. But now I think he has some misconceptions about himself, that he's now in charge. But he isn't. But anyway, there on the chat you can see what is the link for the Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Mat Primary Trust Board, and it has Govinda Maharaj's will and the meetings that we're having on Sunday when we meet, and you can just click on it and mark it as a bookmark, and then you can then you can read about it and everything. But Govinda Maharaj created it as the management board for India. So now that Acharya Maharaj is no longer present, we will use that primary trust board as the management decisions for India. And maybe people are not following us, but it's what Govinda Maharaj desired. So I think it has some validity. You can look at the link and read. At least you'll see Govinda Maharaj's last will, and it talks a lot. In Govinda Maharaj's last will, he talks a lot about Acharya Maharaj. And some people, have different ideas, but there, in that primary trust board link I showed you, is all of Govinda Maharaj's last will, and you can read the whole will, and he says a lot about Acharya Maharaj, so you should read it. People should know what Govinda Maharaj is saying about Acharya Maharaj, about his position as the Acharya and everything. It's explained there. Govinda Maharaj's last will. And maybe it's, 7 or 8 pages, but maybe 3-4 of the pages are about Acharya Maharaj, so you could read it. All right, my Dandavat. Dandavat pranams to everyone. Hope to see you all next week.
Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat Tungarasa.
Dandavat Maharaj.
Dandavat.
Dandavad.
Dandavat Maharaj.